Laurel was having a fantastic day. It began in the office of the mayor of Colorado Springs, where she received a proclamation with her name on it. All of city council was there. All the department heads of the city were there, just to acknowledge and recognize Laurel. She walked outside the building, and there was a stretch limousine. Who was it? She approached the vehicle. Out came Ronald McDonald with a great big bouquet of balloons. He escorted Laurel into the car, and they went to all 11 McDonald's restaurants in Colorado Springs. At each place, there were several hundred people there just to see Laurel and Ronald. In the oldest restaurant in Colorado Springs, number 147 in the entire McDonald's system, she had lunch with Ronald. A happy meal, of course. And then the afternoon began, and I was riding shotgun in the limousine, and we went to every major TV station, CBS, ABC, NBC, and Laurel did an interview. Magnificently, she presented herself. But the day wasn't over yet. That night was a VIP party at the Broadmoor Hotel. CEOs, heads of nonprofit organizations, community leaders were all gathered just to honor Laurel. And of course, Ronald. This might have been the best day in her life. You see, Laurel was 10 years old. And she had Wilms tumor. That is the #1 type of kidney cancer in children. 9 out of 10 children get it who have kidney cancer. And it was stage 4. She had been picked to represent a special place called the Ronald McDonald House. Now, when you have cancer and you're getting chemotherapy and you're a child, you go to Children's Hospital. It's highly expensive, and families sometimes don't stay together, and that's the purpose of the house, to bring families together. The house that love built. They can stay there for nothing or for a nominal amount, and then they can get their treatments, and the family can stay together. Laurel and her mother, Catherine, used the Ronald McDonald House a lot because of the aggressiveness of her chemotherapies and everything else that was going on. There was a 5-part news series featuring Laurel and the journey with her mother and her older sister to deal with cancer when her mother had to be a single mother without a job because Laurel took way too much time. So she was a perfect example. And therefore, she became a celebrity in Colorado Springs. Now, I have to admit to you that I began this as a job. It was what I did. I handled McDonald's in southern Colorado. But in the simplest language, the only way to put this is that I fell in love with Laurel, her mother, and her sister. And so after this was all over with, and Laurel had helped raise over $200,000 to enhance and rehabilitate the house in Denver, I stayed in touch. She came over for dinner, and then one time we got reserved seating for the debut of a brand new Steven Spielberg film called E.T. And we were sitting there, and it was so cool. We were really in the best place in the entire theater. Now, you may remember, if you remember that movie, that at some point, E.T. dies. He's laying prostrate on a gurney. He's chartreuse in color. And great big Bambi tears came out of Laurel's eyes. And I thought to myself, Brent, you are galactically stupid to take a child to see a movie so blatantly demonstrating mortality. But you might remember, E.T.'s heart light came on. The light came back. His eyes opened. And he sat up and said, E.T., phone home. Phone home. And those Bambi tears of sadness turned to joy. went, phew, man, what a break. A couple of weeks later, I stopped by Laurel's house, and she came bursting out of the door, as she always did. Ran up to see me at the car, and I reached back behind my driver's seat, and I pulled out a life-size E.T. And she gave me a great big hug. And it was one of those hugs of the many we get in a lifetime that you don't forget. That one was a keeper. Not too long after that, I got a new job. It was as advertising and public relations director for the Broadmoor Hotel. That job was 80 hours a week. I would work 15, 16-hour days, go home, sleep, get up, go back, and do it all over again. And Laurel and her mother and her sister kind of faded into the background. I called periodically, but I had zero time. One afternoon, I was sitting at my desk, and I got a telephone call. And it was Jeff, a.k.a. Ronald McDonald. Yeah, what happened? Did you know it was going to happen? Did you have any idea what was going on? And then he continued to tell me the rest of the story. Apparently, Laurel deeply, passionately wanted to go to Seven Falls and attractions so she could see the falls majestically going down the mountain. She was very weak, but they got there, and they walked up to the guardrail. She put her hands on it, and then she just panicked. She had the greatest fear of her life. So Ronald, Jeff, and her mother escorted her back to the car. And then Laurel said, I want to go by the hotel and see Brent. Could we do that? Catherine, her mother, said, now, Laurel, you know Brent. He's way too busy to see us on a weekday without an appointment. It wouldn't be a good idea. So they drove home. Laurel was very tired, said she needed to go lay down and rest. She did, and she died. A couple of days later, I was standing with her at her coffin, and it was completely surrounded by flowers. Her name was Laurel, and I'd given the family 2 calla lilies out of a beautiful cobalt vase. I stood there, and I thought her life could be a garden of possibilities now. So she studied very hard. In fact, she went to school for the last week before she died. So she followed her dream and became a nurse. And in nursing school, she met a young man who was a MD in training. And together they started a life of service because she wanted to be an oncology nurse. And so it happened. And I thought and came to the present, I said, Jeff, she wasn't afraid of the heights at Seven Falls. She looked into the abyss, and she learned what was going to happen to her. That this was her final few moments of life. I thought about the Dylan Thomas line, do not go gently into that dark night. Rage against the dying of the light. And that's the way this little girl lived. She helped raise thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to help the Ronald McDonald House. She became a celebrity. She loved, she lived, and she left me with one indelible lesson. And that lesson was, embrace the beautiful moments of our lives. Every day we have those beautiful moments, no matter how small. Embrace them. That was Laurel's legacy for me, and hopefully now for you.